From flowers to veils to invitations and more, wedding expenses can add up quickly and leaving you feeling down. And costs don't just skyrocket for couples and parents, but for bridesmaids, groomsmen, and even wedding guests. The popularity of pandemic micro-weddings or mini-monies, celebrations with smaller guest lists, redefined traditional affairs, are leaving many couples happy with their smaller parties that also save them in big ways. Take a look.
We met on a dating app. Of course, that's the modern day love story nowadays. My first impression of Ryan was just how bubbly and energetic he was. I sort of instantly fell for him. I proposed to Ryan on December 14th, 2019, right before the world went to hell.
The emotion that went through my head when he proposed was just absolute shock. I probably didn't say a single word other than yes to his proposal for about 5 solid minutes.
Everybody wanted to congratulate us and talk about the engagement and the wedding. That was a very blissful few months. And then you start hearing the term coronavirus in the news.
Tonight, the CDC tells me we should expect more confirmed cases of coronavirus here in the United States.
It was very important to get married as members of the LGBTQ community.
We had 3 guest lists. Our highest list had around 150 people on the list. And at the end of the day, we had 60 wedding guests.
We had our wedding at a venue called Mountain View Ranch in a town called Pine, Colorado.
It was the best day ever.
I think if we went with the original plan, it probably would have definitely topped the 30K mark. I was able to put some of the extra money that we had saved towards our student loans. It's nice to know that saving for the wedding inadvertently taught us some really great money-saving habits that we're going to carry over really for the rest of our lives.
You ready to do this? Are you ready to do this? Yes. We're eloping.
We just woke up one day and decided to get married.
I think we both had this realization where it's like, you are everything I ever wanted and more.
Hi, fiance.
Hi.
How does it feel?
It feels like I'm gonna be a Mrs. Smart.
Originally, Eden and I were saving to have a big
Wedding.
Grand wedding. So we were planning to spend somewhere between 25 and 45.
We wanted like all the bells and whistles. I just had to let go of that vision, take away the frills, take away this and all the ideas of what I thought I wanted. And I just wanted to be married to you. That's all I wanted.
T-minus 43 minutes until we say I do.
It was relatively easy. So the pressure of who's on the guest list, who's doing the flowers, who's catering, all of that was taken out of the equation.
We got to eat what we want. We got to do what we want. We celebrated with random people in the streets, and it was just all in all $150.
I'm really glad that we decided to elope because that really set us up for success.
We just bought a house!
We told our married friends we were gonna put all our money into buying a home, and we got approved and we found our forever home. This is just what works for us.
In the midst of looking into a house and getting married, we also were talking about kids. And so now you're left with these questions in front of you. We only have this much. Do you want a wedding? Do you want a house? Or do you want a baby? So when you're laying all of those out there, it's like one of them is a day and 2 of them are forever.
Did you do this? Like all of this? Yeah. All of it.
Financial freedom as a couple means that we are able to live the life that we imagine, that we're not restrained by money, that we're able to give our future children the life that they deserve and the life that we want to give them.
We're joined now by 2 leading experts in the wedding industry. Senior editor from The Knot, Esther Lee, and founder and CEO of Irene Tyndale Weddings and Events, Irene Tyndale, to weigh in on current and future wedding trends and, of course, how to balance that all-important wedding budget. Ladies, I am so glad you're here. Irene, you have been planning weddings for over 20 years. You've seen trends come and go. We just met some couples who opted for scaled-down money-saving affairs during the pandemic. Do you think these smaller weddings, these trends are going to last?
So the small wedding trend is not a new one. It's been around for a little bit. It was a necessary evil last year, right? And this year, we're receiving anywhere between 2 to 3 inquiries a week couples wanting to still have the small, intimate weddings. And intimate does not mean that they're scaling back on their budgets necessarily. It's still having a full-blown wedding day. It's just less people in the room.
That's a really important reminder that just because you have a smaller affair doesn't mean you're going to spend less.
It's still a day full of logistics, a full timeline and production schedule. You know, we had a wedding last August and she still spent $30,000 because it was a top shelf bar, a great DJ, gorgeous decor, and it was everything she wanted with just the most important people in the room.
Esther, I want to share some of the biggest wedding headlines we're seeing and get your take on them. This is a great one for you because it's from the Knott's 2020 Real Wedding Survey, COVID-19 edition. Couples report spending an extra $280 on average on health and safety measures for their guests. Is that $280 overall or per every single guest?
So that $280 is overall per each wedding, depending on the factors of what you decide to implement into the wedding day. So it could range from having wedding masks to COVID testing that's on site. It's up to the couple to decide what they want to do to facilitate the health and safety process overall.
According to Bloomberg, wedding guests, they're dreading this big marriage boom. Irene, as a wedding planner, I know your goal is to focus on the couple's goals, but are you also factoring in the financial burden it places on their guests? And are the couples thinking about it?
Actually, they are. As a planner, I coach my couples through this. You have to consider their transportation. You have to consider, their hotel stay and those things like that. We have been seeing the brides and grooms on their information card, in their invitation, it says that we would rather have your presence than a gift.
All right, this last headline is one that I absolutely love. It's given a whole new meaning to the notion of something borrowed. It's from The Guardian, a piece, and the bride wore a rental gown. Is hiring clothes the future of fashion? A story about the wedding of the UK's Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. His new wife, despite her high-profile status, she rented her dress. I love everything about this. I've got a 20-year-old wedding dress that does nothing but collect dust in my mother's house. Esther, what do you think? Is this going to be the new trend?
We're actually seeing that a lot of brides are still, the majority in fact, are still purchasing their gowns new and in store at bridal salons. However, the rentals are up for pre-wedding events because, as you know, the bridal showers are still happening now, as well as the bachelorette parties, which are multi-day affairs. And so we are seeing the rental services all sort of rise in that for those special occasions.
We are just getting this wedding party started. Stick around for more ways to save on your big day. Plus, how to avoid the go broke or go home bridesmaid and groomsman mentality. We've also got some great interactive polls to test your knowledge on all things related to the cost of weddings. Scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen to get in on the fun. We're going to have more right after this. Does the sight of yet another one of these invitations make you sweat? How about one of these? I never even saw these before. A wedding party proposal card. Yeah, that's for real. Marital bliss comes at a really big cost, not just for the couple, but for the wedding party too. Wedding party woes, you know this, have been the subject of big screen comedies like Bridesmaids and The Hangover. But the real life financial implications of the honor of being in a wedding, they're no joke. We've got tips from bridesmaids and groomsmen to help you avoid that go broke or go home wedding party mentality. Watch this.
I feel relaxed and I'm ready to party.
The best part about being a bridesmaid is it's like a mini reunion every time.
Happy wedding day! Woohoo!
My friends call me everyone's groomsman because I'm always in a wedding.
My name's Kelsey Shanot, and I have been a bridesmaid in 12 weddings.
I'm Dwayne's Akins, and I think I am the male version of 27 Dresses.
I got a good one. It's my favorite.
Oh my God.
The first wedding that I was in, the dress, I think it was $64, and that was the cheapest bridesmaid's dress I've ever been asked to buy. Most of them are around $200 to $300, like in that range.
When you're asked to be a groomsman, you have to be prepared to spend money on a suit, possible travel, bachelor party,
shower gifts, wedding gifts, lingerie for the bachelorette party, travel for the bachelorette party, hotel, hair and makeup, all the things. In total, I've spent around $15,000 on being a bridesmaid. When I say it out loud, it sounds absolutely insane.
You gotta show up and you gotta go hard or go home. The most expensive item I have been asked to purchase for a wedding is a plane ticket. And the most unique item I had to purchase was the African hats that the men have to wear during the traditional ceremony.
The first weddings that I was in, I think I was 24. I was in 6 that year, and it was so fun, but definitely at 24, a little bit daunting to be putting so much expense into celebrating your friends. So much about what goes into weddings these days is fueled by what we see on Pinterest and Instagram. Everybody's wanting to have that like photo moment.
I feel like it is pressure to spend the money because you're trying to make sure that you do everything in your capacity to make sure that your homeboy's wedding goes off without a hitch. You have to step up and you have to participate. I think it's really important just to kind of check on your own self to make sure that you can actually participate before saying yes.
Had a little bit of experience working in the wedding industry and doing some different print things like invitations, save the dates, all of that kind of stuff. So I'd learned a lot about that, and as my friends started getting married, they all kind of started asking if I could help them. And it started out just like I loved to do it and I wanted to help my friends, but then I kind of started realizing that I could make up the money in what I was spending in being in their wedding by them paying me for invitations. So it kind of helped me fund my way through that first year.
When I'm asked to be a groomsman, the first thing I think about is when, what are my responsibilities, where, and how much. When I think about all the money that I spent on being a groomsman, I feel happy because majority of my friends, all of the weddings I was in, everybody's still married except for one. So I feel like the money was worth the investment.
Like, do your homework and have fun. As crazy as it sounds, I would do it all again.
Managing wedding costs does not mean you have to miss out on all the fun. And a little strategy and a side hustle can go a very long way. Coming up, how to build your financial future as a couple, which starts before your wedding day, right after this. Welcome back to On the Money Wedding Edition. According to Time Magazine, 2021 is expected to be the biggest wedding year ever. And as couples begin to navigate their way through marriage, which isn't easy, it's important to map out their financial futures to ensure as smooth a ride as possible. What many couples don't realize is that your financial future begins before your wedding day. And who better to break down how to achieve financial freedom than personal finance expert and author of Zero Debt, The Ultimate Guide to Financial Freedom, Lynette Calfani-Cox. I know you, in part, started your whole business by digging yourself out of $100,000 worth of debt. How'd you do it?
I got into debt during my first marriage. And bottom line, he and I were both classic overspenders. I started doubling and tripling the payments I was making because I had been making only minimum payments. And then I also started negotiating a lot with my creditors. At one point, I got all my credit card interest rates knocked down. After about 3 years, able to dig myself out of that $100,000 in credit card debt.
When people start to, when they plan to get married and build their lives together, they don't talk about their spending personalities. How important is it to sort of not just merge your lives, but merge your financial personalities.
You know, I often joke and say, I feel like God played a trick on all of us. He put us with our financial opposite. So a saver will be paired up for whatever reason with a spender. I do think it's important that couples recognize their own financial autonomy, right? One of the strategies that they can use is to have both separate and joint accounts. So you might have a joint account out of which you pay the household bills, handle the financial affairs that are common to both of you. But then you'll have that separate account where you can spend your own money. You don't have to ask for permission. It's all about team building and making sure you're headed in the right direction.
How do we start to have this conversation and then create a financial plan? Because so many of us just sort of bury it away and then money ends up burying us.
Right. Well, because money is such a taboo topic, I've come up with a strategy that I often tell couples to employ in order to get on the same page financially. And I call this strategy disclose, discuss, decide. So the disclosure part is really all about coming clean financially, because honestly, you would not believe the amount of financial secrets that people keep from one another. And then you get to the discussion phase. You really kind of have to discuss like a lot of what you've been through in the past. You want to be transparent and open with your partner, and you want to do it in a non-judgmental way. And then finally, when you get to the decide category, that phase, really, it's all about, okay, we know where we stand. We've kind of rehashed and talked about our past. We know where we are right now in the present, but how do we want to move forward as a couple, as one unit? The important thing is to be able to communicate, to be able to compromise, and this lays the groundwork for a really solid relationship. You can talk about money matters in a marriage. I'm telling you, you can talk about anything.
I want to talk about another taboo topic that's important, prenups. Because a lot of people out there think prenup agreements are a punishment. But the truth is, they're actually the rules of engagement. And it's great to set the rules before a game starts.
I typically describe it as a smart financial planning tool. Just like if you told me you had car insurance or you created a will, that doesn't mean that you're hoping to get into a car accident or that you're hoping to die. No, you're taking the prudent steps. You're doing some risk management, and you're doing it, frankly, at the best possible time.
I appreciate that you're sort of comparing this to estate planning or writing a will, because oftentimes people say, estate planning, I'm not rich, I don't have that kind of money, and they look at prenups in the same way.
So first of all, it's totally a misconception to think that, oh, I don't have a lot of money and therefore I don't need a prenup. Because frankly, the prenup is doing something for the future. It's helping you to think about years potentially down the road, not today.
What are some key financial questions you can and should ask before you get married?
Certainly the question about, do you want to have separate or joint accounts? That will be revealing. It'll tell you a lot about your partner's degree or need for privacy, the extent to which they want to merge household finances, and why. But then there's other matters as well. You should know each other's credit scores, for example, because you need to know whether or not you might want to, say, buy a house together or have any other joint obligations. You should also know one another's income. If you're going to be, say, filing a joint income tax return together, right? You're both going to be signing on the dotted line there. So you really should know how much your partner earns. And then I think also you should definitely have some questions around goals. And some people have very specific things based on culture, based on their family structure. Some people, for example, give money to their parents or to relatives who might be in another country. You need to know those things ahead of time.
Let's just say, Lynette, we answered all the dirty financial questions. We know all of one another's secrets, and now we're starting clean. It's time to build that budget and stick to it. How do we do that and also not become sort of the nanny of the budget? I mean, that definitely messes with a relationship.
It does. No one should abdicate financial responsibility to another person. So the easy way to establish a budget is really done in 3 steps. Step 1, document all your income. And I mean everything. Step 2, document all your expenses. And then finally, and frankly, I think this is really the most crucial step, adjust to avoid certain budget busters. That's a choice that couples have to make together about where can we cut back or what should we eliminate if we find that our expenses actually exceed our income.
How important is everything you just said to relate that to our actual wedding day?
Weddings in and of themselves are a very tricky topic because all of personal finance is just that, personal. There's a huge emotional component to all of it, but you absolutely have to have a budget even for that very special day.
Lynette, thank you so much.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Coming up next, some creative alternative options to keeping your wedding budget in check right after this. Have you ever heard of wedding vendors that actually help you save money? Yeah, me either. But these new companies will inspire you to dream big while actually staying on your budget. Take a look.
Micro weddings have really taken off this past year and a half. It's not just because of COVID. It's a whole new market of couples who really just want to have a small wedding. My name is Gretchen Culver, and I own Mini Weddings, micro wedding company. A micro wedding marathon day is 4 to 5 weddings in one day. Each couple has their own dedicated time slot. It's a 90-minute experience, and then the next couple comes in. It's a win-win for both our couples and our vendors. We really like to go all out on the ceremony backdrop because that's where so many of the pictures and the special moments happen. I'm always trying to think about different new looks so that when couples go to our website, they can either pick by the date or the design. And you have a professional officiant, photography, videography, all your flowers, decor, a cake, a glass of bubbles, all the music for a fraction of the price of a traditional wedding, because the cost is shared with the other couples throughout the day. So you literally just have to show up with your marriage license, pick out something to wear. It's just a really easy, fun, simple way to get married.
When I heard the price of what my flowers were going to cost for my wedding, I went into complete sticker shock. My name is Denise Zamir. My company is Bloomerant. Bloomerant is a flower sharing and florist discovery platform. We allow event hosts to find and book their florist directly on our website, and then also have the option to recycle their flowers for another wedding or event to reuse. As the first event, you can find and book your florist the way you typically would. As the second event, you have the opportunity to choose from recycled flowers. So what that means is event host had their wedding 1 to 2 days before you, and you're opting months ahead of time to reuse those centerpieces. When you're the first event, you get 10% back. If you're that second event, you save anywhere from 40 to 60% on your flowers. The flowers are always in the florist's hands. So when you're getting them next, they're coming directly from the professional. Recycling your flowers allows you to have these beautiful flowers without spending as much money as you would. And above all else, it gives them that second life. It gives them the opportunity to live on as opposed to being thrown out.
I'm Annie from Planny. Planny is a network of global event planners who are available to be hired on an hourly basis, like having an event planner on demand. All you do is go on the site, and then we match you with someone that's in your local area and an expert in the type of event that you're doing. Most planners have a 1 hour minimum, which is a great way to just do a little trial and see if you're a good fit with that planner. You don't have to use the full service. Maybe you just need design help, or maybe you just want some help finding the venue. Whatever it might be, you can pick and choose which of those pieces you actually need and make a very customized experience for yourself. What you'll find is it's about 100 times less whatever the market value is for a full service package. The number one thing I hear from couples is, this is exactly what I was looking for. It's my favorite thing, the relief that I hear from clients that they're gonna get support, like help is on the way.
These substitutions are a very clever alternative, helping couples achieve their dream day without breaking the bank. And that is what we are here to do, showing you ways to live well within your means and be happy doing it. Thank you for joining our very special wedding edition of On the Money, and to our guests and experts for sharing their stories and insights on the all-important wedding planning process, which should be joyful. Whether you are going big or small, using something borrowed, new or old, we hope these budgeting tips leave you feeling like you got your happily ever after. See you again soon.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.